And here in Colombo, we're joined at HydePark on AdaDerana 24 with the visiting State Secretary for Culture and Media of the Netherlands Gunay Uslu. A very warm welcome to you. It's a historic moment in not just Sri Lanka Netherlands relations, but also in the decision that the Netherlands has taken. So you have entered into an agreement, a legal transfer of ownership and a loan agreement. Let's just start off with how important this is for the Dutch people.
It is very important for the Dutch people. So not only for Sri Lanka, also for the Dutch people, because we are rediscovering our past and we are also looking critically, reflecting on our history and the mistakes and the painful moments, because the colonial history, the colonial times were also painful times. So there is a public call to reflect critically on this past. So it's very important, and also, taking steps to do historical wrongs, right historical wrongs, actually. That's what we are trying to do.
And with the transfer, State Secretary, how does it work? Sri Lanka's museums, of course, we've heard are world class, but at the same time there will be upgrades necessary. So how will the transfer happen, and what is the process here, and how much will your government, your authorities monitor the aftercare of these artifacts?
Well, actually, at this moment, Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam is preparing the transfer. So, and the Rijksmuseum and also the National Cultural Heritage Agency of the Netherlands came in June to Sri Lanka, to Colombo, and to talk about the conditions, about exchange of knowledge, and also talk about because these objects are for a long period in the Netherlands. So the cooperation has already started. And this cooperation will also continue the coming period, because it's not, the priority is not only restitution, it's also built on a closer cooperation, actually, and also set up a cooperation program in the field of museums and in the field of presentation, but also preservation and education. So we're gonna build also a common future, not only a shared past we have already, but we desire to work on a common future.
We know you've spoken about this, but enlighten us about the stringent strategies that will be, and the framework that will be put in place to ensure that there will be a process for identification and as well as to securing these artifacts and objects and more going forward.
Let me first say something about monitoring. The objects, the artifacts are yours. So we don't have the right to monitor things, but we love to work together, and we want to work together and to exchange our knowledge and experience. We love to to talk about and how we can set up a cooperation program. So that's what we're going to do. But monitoring the objects, yes, that's something we can't do. On the other hand, I believe you asked me about which parties, how we can cooperate, which will. So there is a cooperation between the Restitution Committee of the Netherlands, the Colonial Collections Committee, with the Sri Lankan Committee. And also the museums are working together, experts are working together, and my ministry and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Culture here in Sri Lanka are also working together. And our embassy has a crucial role, of course, to connect all these parties with each other.
Tell us about these artifacts itself and what other objects we can look at other than the objects itself. There are intangible transfers. Will that be considered going forward? For example, fauna and flora and other interesting aspects of our relationship of the colonial past.
Yes, as concerns to, regarding fossils, for example, also this policy applies. restitution. So the country has to do a request, and then there will be a provenance research and advisory committee, which is independent, will advise the government, and then there will be a decision. So, on the other hand, well, human remains. That's actually, there is an existing policy to give always back the human remains when there is a request.
Thank you very much, State Secretary, for your time and for this time here in Colombo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we were in conversation with the visiting State Secretary for Culture and Media of the Netherlands, who is in Sri Lanka with the special visit to mark the transfer of Dutch-era colonial artifacts looted from Sri Lanka. And of course, the visit of the State Secretary was marked with the signing of a legal document for the transfer of objects and a loan agreement thereon for the objects that will be transferred to Sri Lanka at the end of this year. A new beginning in the history of Dutch-Sri Lanka relations, and at the same time a new era for the post-colonial civilization that we have been talking about, with the hope that other European nations will follow suit with the transfer of objects from countries that were dominated under their rule. We at AdaDerana will continue to cover the ongoing conversations surrounding the transfer of Dutch colonial era objects to Sri Lanka. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.